Welcome to the Daily Grind. I'm one half of the team. I'm Mark. I got Luke with me. What's going on, man?
Not much, dude. I'm great. Wearing shorts, actually. I won't show you guys, but wearing shorts. It's awesome.
I'm also wearing shorts. It's 72 degrees in Memphis. It feels
Boom.
like spring. We were getting lunch and before I got the Lord's chicken. Look, I'm a slut for the Lord's chicken. So now that we're doing this show at lunchtime, you will often see me with a Chick-fil-A cup. But I was like, hey, it's like patio weather right now today.
Yeah.
We should be eating like cheese dip and chips, some guacamole on a patio with a margarita. And then I was like, can I be drunk for this show? I guess I can. I mean,
Yeah,
I own the company. I guess I could if I want to.
Do whatever the hell you want.
I don't know. During the summer, I might be drunk for these shows. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might
I'll
be done
take
for
the wheel.
I might be done for my pool. I don't know. Either way, it is a beautiful day in Memphis. We got a great show for you guys. We will be talking about the Grizzlies taking on the Magic tonight, a game which I will going to. Got tickets. Gonna take the fam. Gonna be fun. And then we'll have our stats monster prediction in the second segment. And then third segment of the show, like we talked about earlier this week, every day until the trade deadline, we'll be talking about some trade ideas, or maybe even a possible trade rumor that's been popped up. If we'll do those deals, that kind of stuff. So we're talking about the Wizards. They're going to be sellers at the deadline, we think. And so we're going to be talking about the Wizards in that last segment and who we think might be a target for the Grizzlies. Let's get started with this Grizzlies Magic preview. The Magic are a team that are mediocre,
Yeah.
They're mediocre. They're 23-21 right now, 8th in the Eastern Conference. What are your thoughts on the Magic so far this year?
So I think that God, you could say this about any team. When healthy, they're really good. I really like the version of their team when healthy. I like Franz. I think it's kind of no surprise that a lot of people wanted him when we got Zaire. I like Franz. I like Paolo. I think they pair really well together. I think that's a really dangerous front court when together. I like what's his name? Jalen Green. Jalen Suggs. He's a kid from Gonzaga, the guard.
Yep.
Both. I like him. Talk about a kid who started out. Like I love all the teams that come through Gonzaga. I always really like playing them. I love their style of ball in college, and so all those dudes, I love to see them translate to the NBA. And he was one that I was worried about, but it's so good to see him do good. Cole Anthony's a 6 Man of the Year candidate. I think that when healthy, they're really fun. A lot like the Grizzlies. I think they do a lot of things that are fun to watch, like the Grizzlies, a good league pass team, as it were. But tonight specifically, I'm a little worried because they did just get Franz back. So if they're getting a healthy Franz back, I think that's going to be just tough. That's a tough front court when they're clicking.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of good young pieces, and they've drafted well over the past couple of years. Like I said, Franz Wagner was a guy that I really liked when they took Zaire. He wasn't there, so it didn't matter anyway. But if we're trading up to get people, that would have been one guy I would have traded up to get for sure. But I'm like you, a big fan of Franz Wagner. I think he's very, very good. Obviously, I think that's probably the consensus for most people. It's not a crazy take.
Not a hot take.
Not a hot take. Obviously, they get Wendell Carter Jr., a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show, a guy that's been talked about a lot just in the Grizzlies circles. He's playing quite a few minutes. He doesn't start for those guys, and I think that's kind of where it's kind of surprising, honestly. But he's having a year where he's playing really well. But I think they're a little like the Thunder, where they're kind of a victim of their own success. Sometimes a lot of teams get in this situation where they draft really well, a lot of young players, and then you get a situation where you have almost too many good players and you just can't play them all. And that's why you kind of see Wendell Carter Jr. thrown out for some potential trades because you have an asset that maybe it doesn't really fit in your team, and maybe you can get some things for them, especially a young player that is good and definitely shows potential. What are I guess
I'm trying to find the box score. How do they split their minutes up? Speaking of what you're saying, they've got so many good guys.
Yeah, their minutes are really all over the place. I mean, and that's also because they've had a lot of injuries too, though. Their main guys, like you said, are Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero. Those are their main guys. After that, it's Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter Jr., Markel Fultz, who are playing a bulk of the minutes there. Gogo Biatse is also playing playing a lot of their minutes too.
You got 11 guys playing at least 10 minutes. Played at least in the last game. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're playing. They're excited. They've got a lot of guys that can. Even buried on the roster is Joe Ingles.
It's just Joe
The
Ingles.
once, dude was hitting shots not that long ago for sure.
Dude can hit a shot.
Where are you at? So you mentioned the front court, Franz Wagner, Balabachero. Where are you at on who guards who? I mean, how do the Grizzlies defend those two guys? Like you mentioned, where you really only got, you're not going to have Santi back. You will have Luke back tonight, although Santi's, I think he's questionable tonight. I mean, so there's a potential he might play. But like we mentioned in the last game against the Heat, the reason you saw X, I don't know if we mentioned this, but the reason you saw X come off the bench and not start was simply because they don't have any other bigs. Like if Jaren's not on the court, someone's got to play center. And so that's kind of why you'll see X come off the bench. It's not a player best guy situation. It's just simply we don't got enough bigs situation.
Which is tough because I would play X. I would put X on Paolo and I would put Jaren on Franz. That's what I would do, but that's going to be, you can't do that. Like you said, because I mean, if Santi's healthy, maybe you can, but I don't know. I mean, you put Vince, do you play Vince at the 4 and have Vince guard Franz? I mean, I don't know.
I think that probably what we'll have to, I mean, if Santi plays, he's going to start, because the reason,
100%.
The reason they did this the other night with Santi and X is simply because it's a rebounding issue. Santi's a terrible rebounder. They want to bring X off the bench to have, again, some semblance of a big who can rebound off the bench. And so that is kind of where you're going to see X and Santi line up. Now, if Santi doesn't play, then you got even bigger problems. And like you mentioned, I think you probably, I mean, I don't know where you go from there. Maybe that's a Vince Williams situation where you have to put Jaren on Paulo Banchero and Vince on Franz Wagner and hope for the best.
Well, you could do that, and then you could fudge it honestly and have Luke, Jitty, and then Scottie Pippen Jr. That's not a bad. Or Gigi, start Gigi. You could always throw Gigi Jackson in there. We just don't have the bodies, though. I don't know. It's just tough.
Any idea you have of like, let's start this person? You also have to think about, well, who comes off the bench and who
comes off the bench
and who scores, and when Jaren's not on the court. So that's the ultimate situation. That's the kind of the problem that you're in right now. You think Scottie Pippen gets the start tonight over Jacob?
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know if he gets to start. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a situation where he comes in almost immediately. Like you start Gilliard or Luke. Start point Luke, and then just shift some things around and just have him come. I mean, we closed the game with Scottie Pippen Jr. last time. I think that's important. And I don't think that Scottie Pippen starts, but I think he plays more minutes than Jacob Gilliard. 100%.
That's kind of how I feel about it. Even though he probably should start, like a starting lineup of Gilliard, Conchar, Luke, Vince, and Jaren is a pretty good. I mean, in terms of starting lineups of like what we can make out of the team we have, it's not a great starting lineup, but it's pretty good. It's with the players you have. Serviceable. But having Luke back is huge. I mean, just having another body that can get points. Again, I'm with you. Gigi Jackson should probably. I know Zaire will see the floor tonight. I don't think he should, but I think Gigi Jackson should take most of his minutes as well. Play a lot. They're going to have a real problem with that front court and Orlando Magic. The good news about this Magic team is that they are one of the worst teams on offense. They're 24th in offensive rating and score 112 points per game. That's barely better than the Grizzlies are like 109 right now. The Grizzlies are dead last in the league. But the bad news is that they are 4th in the NBA defensive rating. So literally both these two teams are top defenses here. Their net rating is still plus 0.3, which is 15th in the league. That's how good their defense is. Even though how bad their offense is, that's how good their defense is. It's a little like, it's a resemblance of the Minnesota game in terms of the front court and the defense they bring along with it. I think that, hopefully won't lead to forcing the Grizzlies to take a lot of threes, although it does tend to happen when the Orlando Magic played teams. They let them take a lot of threes. And I think that's by design. They really shut down the interior defense, really shut down the paint. The Orlando Magic are 6th in opponent 3-point attempts. So their opponents take about 32 3-pointers per game. However, the Orlando Magic themselves are almost dead last. They're 27th in the league in 3-point attempts. So this is a team that does not take a lot of threes. They just don't make a lot of shots, period. They don't take a lot of threes. They really pack the paint, force your opponent to the outside, which, if the shots are falling for the Grizzlies, then that's fine.
It's
but
fine.
Obviously, as we know, it's a roller coaster for the three-point shooting on the Grizzlies. Hopefully they'll leave Luke open a bunch. I don't know.
Fingers, please.
So, I mean, that's some good news, bad news about their stats. I mean, it's very difficult. They just don't allow a lot of points. And that's kind of where they just, I don't know how you kind of overcome that for the Grizzlies. Again, I think it's really just about if they can have a similar game that they did against the Heat. Obviously they won that game, but that the really telling point about the Heat game was that they shared the ball really well. The ball movement was really good. Their assist rate, the assist to field goal ratio was really, really high. And that's what you're going to have to do again. And because they're going to double team Jaren. Hopefully maybe you can put, Luke on the same side as Jaren to try to force them to not, something that I believe it was a Timberwolves did really good. Maybe it was, I can't remember the team that they were doubling Jaren from the weak side, even though the Grizzlies put Luke on the same side as Jaren. They would double off of Luke and rotate one person over to Luke immediately. Like it was in conjunction. As soon as the double came, the guy rotated to Luke. There was no waiting for Luke to get the ball back. And they left the other weak side of the floor open. So it was kind of unique. And I thought it was really, really smart just because those are the only two guys that can make you pay.
Yeah, it's true.
So it would not surprise if you see something similar tonight against, or going forward when you just have Luke and Jaren.
I mean, well, and with Vince's shot falling as much into this too, I mean, you could, if he keeps this offensive production up, I mean, you could even maybe get away with him over there sometimes too, but that's about it. I wouldn't risk it with anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is a game that's just like, it's like any other game that we're going to talk about with these previews. It's, if Vince shot falls, if Gigi goes 4 for 6 to 3, I mean, that was the name of the game the other day. Is he got points from everybody you didn't need points, that you needed to get points from. With Luke out especially, and Jaren struggling, and so maybe with Jaren and Luke back, you get 20 from them each, but that's only 40 to 50 points. You still got another 50 you got to get from those guys on the bench. So. Does Scottie Pippen go out and have another 15-point game? I doubt it. I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't bank.
If he does, then it's starting time.
and again, same thing with Gigi. Does Gigi go out and have 17 again? It's random for him, and we haven't seen the consistency. So yeah, so I wouldn't expect that either. So those are the type of things you're going to look for. I mean, we can sit here and talk about the stats, what they're good at, what they're not good at, till we're blue in the face. But the reality of this is just they're going to force them to take a lot of threes. Hopefully, they can find some paths to the basket. And hopefully their defense can I believe in the defense, and I don't think that's going to be a problem tonight.
No,
I don't think stopping them from scoring is going to be the problem tonight. I think you're going to have the same problem they have is, can we put the ball in the basket? Yeah. And that's really, it boils down to, do you have guys other than Jaren and Luke that can score the basketball? And you do, but are they going to do it tonight is the question.
And it's a big question, unfortunately, just because the guys we're dealing with aren't used to the action they're getting yet. Like Gigi's 19. Like he's the fact that we're getting what we are out of him is fucking awesome. Like it's tough to ask more than what we already getting from him, but the fact that we are, it's just. I mean, Santi could have him a night. It's been a while since he's gone off, but it's like the personnel is just not there right now.
Well, last question I'll ask you before we take a break. If Santi and Luke are back, who do you think some odd, some of the, I think there's probably that would be 11 active players. Typically we're playing 9 players right now. who are the two guys out of that rotation, or even just one if he decides to play 10? Who's DNP-CD?
Zaire doesn't see the floor if it's me.
Okay.
It sucks. I mean, like, and I'm not even willing to be like, well, maybe his defense. I don't want to watch him go 2 of 9 again. And it sucks because I know we need the bodies. If he's one of the bodies out there, he's going to keep shooting. And I hate it, but I would just not play him.
Yeah. I am agreeing with you. I don't know if Taylor Jenkins is in agreement with us.
Probably not.
Honestly, we've seen John Conchar get that same DNP-CD when we have these kind of the same available players, which would be crazy at this point.
Yeah, it would be insane.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's Scottie Pippen Jr. though. It wouldn't surprise me if it's even Gigi Jackson. I don't think it should be, but I think they're giving him so many. I think it has to be Zaire because he is the worst player on the floor at any point the last
every time
he's so bad, but he continues to get minutes every game, and I don't know if that's just like we really got to make sure we have given him every opportunity available. I don't know anymore.
I mean, it's watching him get minutes at this point is becoming the basketball equivalent of just bashing your head in the wall, and it's getting old. I'm just getting tired of it.
Yeah. I can't. Like I said, that is the answer, but I don't know if that's Taylor's answer, and I would be curious to find out what that might be.
He misses the show. He misses the Friday show, so we don't know if he's listening.
That is true. He typically does not listen to the Friday show.
Classic.
Taylor does not. Classic. Taking Friday off. But we'll try to see if I'll see if I can't text him. Hey, do not play Zaire tonight if you can help it.
You hear me?
I'll try to text him in the break.
Attaboy.
Get a response. Hey, just so you know, Taylor, TJ is what I like to call him.
TJ for short.
Yeah. Hey man, stop playing Zaire for the love of God.
For the love of Christ.
For your job and for all of us here. Please stop. Anyway, let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about our stats, monster predictions, and then we'll talk trades in our last segment.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, but now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side. Yeah. His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward. Right. Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here, which is are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence. You dribble. So now what I do is when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Who do you need to step it up? Outside of David Jones, I think David Jones is David Jones.
I don't think you need him to step it up because he's been performing.
Yeah, he's David Jones. Outside of him, he's fine.
I think Quinterly needs to play better.
In what way? He's facilitating the ball well. I don't.
2 at 12 from the field's not cutting it.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I don't need a runner 3 from the top of the key with 3.5 seconds left.
Is Virginia the game where Jordan Brown is going to cook? Those dudes aren't looking to run the ball.
Cook what? Dude, I thought he was going to have a freaking night. He came out with that fresh cut, lined up, and then literally within the first 15 seconds, missed a wide open layup. And then picked up 2 fouls right away.
I feel real lied to because I thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy.
Didn't think it did anything for you.
Well, I think
we all thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy. And we are getting that in David Jones.
I'm not even getting 20 or 10 minutes out of the guy.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the show. I was not paying attention. I was looking at Twitter. I apologize. It's a daily grind. We're talking Grizzlies right here every day now at 1 p.m. That's my fault, guys. I was looking at Twitter. Sane just tweeted something and I was reading it. That's all me. Speaking of Love City Media, like that segue.
That was good.
YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's super easy. It's free. It helps us out. I promise you, there's a show for everybody. Between our show, our Grizz 901 post-game show with Daniel and Nate, got Tigers Untapped, TJ and Trey, got On the Bluff. You got our new show coming out tomorrow for their second episode, the $2 Sports Show, Rusty and Drew. Soccer coming back. You'll have shows on 901 Soccer from Lauren Stockery. Lots of shows, and we got a few more in the works that I promise you will be big surprises. Won't say anything, but they will be, promise you, worth your time. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stats Monster prediction for 9. Who you got?
So I did a thing the other night. Once Vince won.
That comment, by the way, when you say I did a thing the other night, it usually ends in a different way than whatever you're about to say. I promise.
So I did a thing the other night. So I purchased a Vince Williams Jr. jersey. And so until it gets here, I'm just going to pick Vince, man. I'm going to pick him for every Stats Monster. Like the last 6 games, dude is averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 2 steals. His shooting splits are 50, almost 55, 47, 83%. Like, dude, dude is fucking awesome. You know, so until you see me wearing his jersey, I'm just going to pick him every time we're on the show doing the game.
All right. I mean, that's fair. That's a good pick every night. Usually now that, especially there's a lot of shots to go around. I'm going to go with Luke Kennard.
Yeah,
I am going with my guy, Luke.
He won last time you picked him.
He won last time I picked him. The amount of threes they let people take is a lot. And so
it's alarming.
It's alarming. It's almost as many as the Grizzlies let people take. And so I think you're going to see a lot of threes from both teams tonight. I think if you're going to shoot a lot of threes, then I'm going to go with Luke Kennard. Even though Gigi Jackson apparently beat him in a 3-point contest in practice today. I saw that from Drew Hill right before the show started. I was like, okay. But apparently Luke Kennard had to clarify that he beat him from one spot on the floor. That was it. So. But Gigi was excited. So shout out Gigi Jackson for possibly beating Luke Kennard. At least one spot. That's tough to do when the guy shoots for almost 50% from 3. So that's tough.
Tough beat.
All right. Luke Kennard from me. Vince Williams for you. Let's take another quick break. Let's get to the trade ideas coming up next.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man and say, this is how we think we're gonna play you, bang, bang, bang. And hopefully everybody understand. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us. To the last person on the bench, you got an ego. But all of us can't be the man. Yeah. You got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly and if I'm out there doing it and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. Mm-hmm. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping this logo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. All right, Christian.
Yes.
You are Penny Hardaway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Today, you're going to play act. Okay? Gabe, because you're a Jordan Brown apologist, you're going to be Jordan Brown.
I'm a Jordan Brown apologist. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Y'all are sitting across the room from each other.
I said, don't tweet him hate. And he's like, you're an apologist. Like, good God. But either way, continue. We're in a room together.
Why did things break down?
Jordan, we brought you in this year to be the centerpiece of our offense. You came in out of shape. Let's call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. We play fast. Told you this when we were recruiting you. We play fast. One of the fastest paces in the country. You have to be able to get up and down the floor. You have failed at that.
Oh, well, I'm leaving. So it's fine. Cool.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind. We're talking Grizzlies every single day right here. New time this week, 1 p.m. So take your lunch, join us And I promise you, you will learn something every day on the show. We tend to learn something too. So
Yeah.
Shout out D'Angelo Halo. We see you in the comments. I haven't seen you around over the last few shows, D'Angelo, though. I was a little concerned about you, but glad to see you
We
back.
were worried.
We were worried. Glad to see you back, though. The Washington Wizards are reportedly going to be sellers at the trade deadline. Thoughts on the Wizards, Luke, and who you might want to see off that roster?
Well, so I feel like it's classic Wizards move because it's like, we want to be sellers, but we're not going to be sellers, but we're taking phone calls is what they're doing, is what they're saying. And it's like, Jesus Christ, just pick one, like we know you're selling. Don't pull this garbage. It's like, you can't do both. I mean, you can say you're doing both, but whatever. I don't know. They're what? They got the second worst record in the league, 735.
Yeah.
They have to be sellers right now. The team is not doing it. Just not cutting it. In terms of who I would want off that team currently based on their contracts. So Sean got me thinking, was that yesterday when we talked to Sean?
Yeah.
Got me thinking yesterday, if they can find some sort of, I'm a big Corey Kispert guy. Have been since that draft. I like him a lot. If there was a way to get him on the team, he's having a down season this year, and his true shooting is still above 60% on a down year. I think that's pretty damn impressive. His current contract, he's in the third year of a 4 year the club exercises option. He's only going to be making $5 million next year, or almost $6 million. Like if we could get, he's essentially Luke Kennard light. It depending on how much they want to blow it up, if they want salary fillers, if they want draft picks, I would, if we could not give up a ton to get him as like a guy coming off the bench, I would be really interested in that. That's my first guy. I also like Gafford, but I think it's it just depends on, and because they're giving us bullshit answers, no one can really know. It's like, it depends on how selly they want to sell, because I like Daniel Gafford. It's another guy with a good contract that we could really use. Kuzma's like the granddaddy of them all. I think everybody would want Kyle Kuzma. I think he would. I like Kuz. I really like Kuz.
Yeah. I think with Kyle Kuzma though, I think if you're trading for Kyle Kuzma, you're giving up Brandon Clark.
100%.
Steven Adams. That's kind of where you're at for Kyle Kuzma. He's 28. Obviously, he's still very good at basketball, averaging 21 points per game this year, shooting right at 34% from three, but taking 7 threes a game. I mean, that's kind of what you want. You're definitely giving up, just contractually, right?
You have to.
If you could find a way to get Kyle Kuzma, because he's making $25 million a year the next 4 years, he's in the first year of his 4-year deal. It's a descending contract, but he's 25, 23, and always down to 19 in the last year. That would fit the Grizzlies timeline, because you want someone obviously as your superstars continue to get, max deals.
Yes.
Which you'll be coming up with another max deal in 2 years. You want that to go down. So that's great, but still you're giving up, at the very least, you're probably giving up Steven Adams. You're probably giving up Santi Aldama. If
Probably
you could
at least a first.
At least, yeah. I'm
least
just
one.
talking about just contractual, like,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's just kind of
Yes.
that kind of stuff. If you could find a way to get Kyle Kuzma and not give up Brandon Clark, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think it would happen. I think if you're giving up Kyle Kuzma, you're probably giving up Clark or Adams, one or the other, whichever one they want, probably Clark, and you're probably giving up Santi Aldama. Or you're giving up Clark plus some salary filler, and you're giving up several first rounders. That's kind of where I'm at. He's going to be the most expensive to get. But I do think he solves your big problem. Like if you're playing Kuz and next to Jaren, the next 4 years, I mean,
That's nice.
Solves a lot of your issues. Again, it doesn't solve your rebounding issue that well, but at that point, it's like, do you care? Like the great thing you love about Steven Adams is he plays so well with Ja. And I think that would be like the question mark of Kyle Kuzma. His game really isn't his game is similar to Santi's. It's just he's better than Santi, right? That's kind of
he's better than Santi.
better than Santi, but that is kind of who is similar vein. He's a very similar vein to Jaren as well. He's not as good as Jaren defensively, but he can score the he can score the basket, right?
Yeah,
and I think if you could find a way to keep Steven Adams and Kyle Kuzma, great. But I think you're giving up. If you're trading with Kyle Kuzma, he's coming back to start on this team. I don't think he's coming back to sit on the bench.
There's no way.
He just makes so much money. You get into a really precarious situation. And I think the biggest question mark is how does that style work with John Morant? Because we've seen how Steven Adams works. He's a great rebounder, sets great screens. That type of player, which we've talked about on the show before, doesn't really exist. But that type of player in Steven Adams works well with John Morant. And I don't know if Kyle Kuzma would be that guy. I love Kyle Kuzma, but just don't know how well he fits in the overall grand scheme. I think if it's great alongside Jaren, not sure if it fits great alongside John Morant.
And we know Brandon Clark fits great alongside both. And that's why it's you can't be giving up BC. I'm with you on that. To me, I'm holding on to Brandon.
Like I said, if you could find a way to give up Steven Adams and Santi and you got Kyle Kuzma and you kept Brandon, that would be a huge win. I don't see it happening.
No,
that would be huge. That would be difficult. And Kyle would agree to come off the bench. Whew, man, that's great. But again, a man can dream. None of that's happening.
Yeah, we're allowed. We're allowed to dream.
I'm with you, though. Corey Kispert's probably my number one target on this team simply because of his overall play and his you have a lot of control over him the next 8 years, essentially.
Kennard insurance.
Sorry, 6 years, essentially. But again, you could if you get Corey Kispert, like you said yesterday, you feel good about moving Kennard, right? If you feel good about going to using that as a piece that you could get actual more assets for, right? So I think a Corey Kispert is someone you would definitely look to get simply because of his contract as well as his play. Like you said, he's in the first of his team, first of his 2-year team option that they picked up. So he's got this year and next year on an option. Then he's a restricted free agent. So even if something happens, you still have some control over that, in either sign and trade or even just matching salary, all that kind of stuff. So you have control over him. Maxi, you'd have his bird rights. You'd be able to sign him,
which is awesome.
A max extension if you wanted to, something like that. There's lots of control versus someone like Daniel Gafford. He is in his first of a 3-year contract. So he'd be unrestricted at the end of this contract. And it's like $15 million a year. I like him there. But I think Corey Kispert gets you the same thing you're looking for with less money.
Yes. With significant less money. And you get more control too. I think the control is really important with the 3 superstars we have and just Jaren due for an extension. The control that you have contractually over him right now is very important.
What do you think you'd have to give up for Corey Kispert? What do you think they want for Corey Kispert?
I mean, I bet they would want maybe a first.
They'd start with a first for sure. I mean, I just meant player wise. You think there's anybody? I think you could put in John Conchar just for matching salary purposes.
How much? I was going to say Corey's making.
It's like $5 million, $6 million a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's got 16 million total.
I mean, I think Washington wants assets. I think if you're giving up something like that, I think they want assets. I think you'd have to go with something like please take Zaire or please take John Conchar plus first.
I would do Zaire and maybe 2 first.
I mean, again, Corey Kispert is a guy who is
he's first round pick, right?
He's not even starting for them though, which is kind of crazy.
That's crazy to me.
I mean, he's not starting because Daniel Gafford is starting, but it's crazy that he's not starting for them. And with how efficient, there's lots of potential there.
Lots.
So much. I think he's a guy where you like that guy, and I don't know if it's not out of the realm of craziness because he's a guy that even on a bad team he's not getting minutes, which is kind of wild to me. He's getting minutes, but he's not getting starter minutes. He's getting like 18 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game.
Tankathon, the Washington D.C. Tankathon.
I mean, yeah. So it's either that, or it's like, how do they really see him? Like, how do they really value him? And that's gonna be very telling on how a really bad team plays their people. Because in theory, Kyle Kuzma should be playing 0 minutes if you're really tanking, right? If you're really trying to get out of Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma shouldn't be playing that much at all. And Corey Kispert and Daniel Gafford and some of these young guys should be playing a lot of minutes.
Getting their legs
so,
out under him.
I don't know. I think Corey Kispert is a gettable person only because just from the tea leaves and how teams kind of play their young guys, I just don't know if they see a lot of value there. And it's like, hey, if we get off this guy, could we, if they offer us a John Conchar or someone who is a good player for the next 3 years on a good contract and a first or two first, or a first and a protected first,
second.
something like
something like that.
You get first and 2 seconds or first and a top 20 protected first, something like that. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's crazy.
It's a climbing move too. Like it's within the realm of possibility if you're thinking in terms of the moves he normally makes, like the get some picks here, get some picks there, and then make the move for a superstar that isn't making a ton of money but could move the needle potentially. That's his MO.
Yeah, especially with the pick this year. I mean, I would happily give up the pick this year, even though I know it's going to be a top 10 pick for a known commodity and Corey Kispert. That's what I would do. I will always give the draft pick for a known commodity and Corey Kispert. Because guess what? You might draft Jair Williams.
Boom.
That's going to be it for our show today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back on Monday with a new show. We'll recap the weekend. Hopefully the Grizzlies get a W tonight. Hopefully Jair plays reasonably well. That's all you can ask for at this point. So, if he plays, hopefully plays reasonably well. Hopefully the Grizzlies get a win. We will see you on Monday.